Well, hello everybody. My name is Skip, and I am the host of the Profiles After Show. I have a couple guests with me this evening. Um, Jason, introduce yourself to the world out there.
Hello, my name is Jason. I am a writer, director, actor, producer, and I love movies, and that's how me and Skip connected. And he was happy enough, and actually, I'm happy enough, but he is generous enough to allow me to be here to talk about the Coen brothers.
And Mark?
Hi, Mark Tordai, semi-regular guest here on the Profiles After Show, huge profiler. And yeah, same. I'm very, very interested in talking about the Coen brothers. They're actually one of my favorite filmmaking duos.
All right, so with that being said, we're going to start off with Alicia and Scott's First Blood. Alicia's First Blood was Fargo, and Scott's was Bart and Fink. All right, Jason, since you're the new guy, we're going to ask you, what was your First Blood? And if it's something that's on your Fast Five, don't go too much into it. Just kind of give us a little bit of the story about you seeing this movie for the first time.
First Blood meaning the first Coen brothers film that I was introduced to.
Yep, the very first one you ever saw.
Very first one I ever saw, I was a child. It was a family favorite with my mother and my father, and then also both my sisters, Rachel and Sarah, and it was Raising Arizona. And I do not remember very much about the film, but I do remember Nicolas Cage, his crazy, crazy, crazy hairdo and beard, and I also always remember the iconic scene of the Harley Davidson and the shotgun with the lizard on the rock. And that just opened up a whole new sense of kookiness of who's this guy with an amazing camera shot and why is this happening? And to tell you the truth, that is one of the wacky, fun, dark comedies I've seen in my life. My first comedy of all time is American Psycho, but that's a different topic. But yeah, Raising Arizona is one of those that I need to revisit once again soon and very soon. But yeah, it's just one of those images burned in my head with the whole couple and the baby. It's just one of the wackiest things ever. And yeah, I can't get that scene out of my head.
All right, Mark, what is your First Blood?
Mine was The Big Lebowski. I was a teenager. It was on home video. I was at least 15, so it's probably around 1998. Maybe I was 16 in 1999. And I remember watching it and not liking it, not getting it, not understanding it, not laughing at it, and actually despising that movie until I watched it last year. And in fact, I just got Netflix just recently, a couple months ago, after having it several years ago and sort of letting the account go, and I just saw that I actually put a 1 star out of 5 for The Big Lebowski now because
Oh,
it's at 5. But yeah, so yeah, that was terrible,
wow.
and I'm glad I revisited it, and it was my first introduction to all of the Coen Brothers films, which most of them I've seen and fallen in love, after.
I am going to go with Jason on this one. And it's so funny that his and mine are the exact same. My First Blood is Raising Arizona. I was a kid. I think I was about 13 or 14 years old when I saw this movie, and I'm right there with Jason. I mean, I didn't know who Nicolas Cage was. This is my first introduction to Nicolas Cage, and wow, what a kooky, crazy character! What a crazy, just out there comedy this was, and dark comedy, as Jason said. But I'm going to talk about a little bit more about Raising Arizona later. All right. So that being said, we are going to go into Alicia and Scott's Fast Five, and their Fast Five number 5 was Barton Fink. So, if either of you guys have Barton Fink, starting with Mark this time, on your Fast Five, where does it lie?
I have Barton at number 4. This is a very underrated movie, and I really love it. Yeah, it's great, and the whole connection to writing is such an amazing sort of parallel or allegory to writer's block and so forth. It's a great film.
Okay, Jason, do you have?
I also have Barton Fink as my number 4, and that's no lie. It's on my list right here. And I agree 100%. The whole thing regarding a writer and the stress he's put under, also his past, and where all of a sudden he's put in place, and also just like the whole ending and the meaning and the metaphors regarding like selling your soul and everything in the film industry is just absolutely fantastic. And of course, the Coen brothers go as far as having fire in the hallways and just like him, the devil, and then one of the cast favorites. I mean, to the Coen brothers, I mean, you talk about Adam Sandler using Steve Buscemi. Coen brothers use him just as much, if not more, but with more reason and more meaning and more substance, and also John Goodman. John Goodman in that film, man,
Yeah.
Barton Fink, 100% number 4.
All right. Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but I do not have Barton Fink on my.
Oh,
It's all right. It's all right. You'll get over it, Jason.
all right.
Now we're gonna go into our right stuff. This is our favorite scene, and Alicia and Scott's favorite scenes are. Alicia's right stuff is from Fargo when she's talking. The police, they go to the house and they're explaining about it's a little guy. What kind of this kind of funny guy, this goofy guy, and they start talking with the northern accents, the Wisconsin accents and stuff like that. And Scott, on the other hand, is his favorite scene is from No Country for Old Men, where Anton Chigurh goes into the country store and he goes, "Call it, friendo," and he tells the guy, you need to call it. Yeah. He tells.
Oh, so you mean the Harvey Dent Two-Face ripoff?
Yeah, whatever.
I'm just kidding.
So now this time we're gonna go with Jason. What is your right stuff? What is your favorite scene from a Coen Brothers movie?
It has to be in Miller's Crossing when Albert Finney's character Leo goes out of his office, hangs off the roof, jumps down, grabs a Tommy gun, and then just starts firing after the car that I believe Gabriel Byrne's character is escaping in. And I think that seeing an older man who has such conviction in order to do such a thing and is such a disgust and despair towards someone, to just be able to do that is something I've never seen in my life, let alone an older character. But the fact that he's so upset and he wants to kill this guy so much, and then him just be walking down the street with a Tommy gun, firing a car that's getting further and further away from him, even though the bullets are going to catch up to it, is just out of anger. And I think that is, Coen Brothers are mostly known for like their comedic elements. I could go for the "Shut the F up, Donnie," or the Jesus or whatever. But yeah, just that alone, that's one of the Coen Brothers. One of their only scenes in a film that I really felt like a visceral impact from.
All right, Mark.
My favorite is something that you don't really see in Old Country for Old Men, which would be the final fight between Josh Brolin's character and Anton Chigurh. And I'm sorry that I forget Josh Brolin's character's name. That's kind of bad, but you don't actually see this whole kind of cat and mouse, which is the entire movie, is sort of led up to the fact that the hitman is going to catch up with the person who stole the money, and you just literally do not see and it's obviously assumed that Anton did kill him, probably more than assumed, however, but I just really love that kind of shot where you just see Josh Brolin. He's dead in a hotel room, I believe it was, and it has been a little while since I've seen the film, but I love that. I love the fact that you don't see it. It's sort of up to your interpretation. You kind of have to put things together in that movie by yourself, particularly with, I'd say, the last 20 minutes of the movie, and it's a risk, and I love risks like that because I love when filmmakers they challenge us to use our minds and our intelligence to fill in those gaps. So yeah, that I would say that's definitely my favorite. Certainly also the most memorable for me as well.
A couple though that I would like to say, just out of anything to go to a remake, is just anything regarding Jeff Bridges in True Grit. Just with the teeth and the guns and stuff. That's from the novel as well. But, you know, like True Grit, I don't think we'll see later on the list if that gets a lot of love. But just a well-crafted scene. A lot of those bits in that film are memorable, but they've also come from a novel, an adaptation of that novel, and then a remake. So I just want to throw that out there.
No, I'm right there with you. My favorite scene is, well, I'll tell you what. I couldn't narrow it down to one scene, and so I got two scenes.
Uh-oh.
And they're both from Fargo. I just, you know, you get introduced to Marge Gunderson for the first time, and she's sleeping, and then she gets called into this scene with there's a car out in the middle, and she's got her snow jacket on, and she's like figuring things out for the first time, and you can tell she's pregnant, and this is your first introduction to Marge Gunderson, and to me that scene made me like, this movie is going to be good. This character is going to be a great character, and then of course the ending when you see she comes across the leg sticking out of the wood chipper.
Yes.
And you know, she figured it all out, and you knew she was going to figure it out at the beginning, and this whole snowstorm and the weather and just wow, the feel of this movie is just so. There's nothing like Fargo. I mean, there's literally nothing like Fargo, and so those two scenes are kind of like a yin and a yang, an A and a B. They have to fit together in a way if you're going to say scenes.
Well, it's absolutely beautiful because my runner-up for not memorable, most shock value as a kid is I just remember watching a movie with my kid and seeing Peter Stormare, and there was the leg out of the wood chipper, and he's using a log to hit the leg in. And I was like, my mom, I'm returning, goes, "You can't watch this movie anymore." I was like, this is one of the most amazing, iconic images ever. Like, I want a poster of that. Like, it's beautiful. But then also the contrast is, you're right, when you meet her and then you realize she's pregnant, and you just don't worry about her. You worry about she's two lives. It's her and her baby.
Yeah.
And then the contrast of also the wood chipper and the guy murdering someone. Yeah, man, you're absolutely correct. That is phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay, now we're going to go on to Fast Five number 2. But before we do, if you could get some background light, is there a porch light or something?
Yeah, I'm going to go right now. I was just about to do that.
Okay.
I apologize. I was going to say that. I didn't want to interrupt your conversation.
That's fine. I just want people to see you, Jason.
Oh, my money maker?
Yeah, because you started going out there. I noticed I'm an hour ahead of you, but as we get later, you're starting to get darker. So perfect.
All right, thank you very much. I knew I was going to have to switch, but I apologize for having to do so in midstream. But again, that one scene, other than Raising Arizona with the shotgun with a lizard, that whole foot sticking out, thank you for reminding me. That is something that will always be living with me for the rest of my life.
Okay. All right, now we're on Fast Five number 4 for Alicia and Scott. It was Inside Llewyn Davis. So if Inside Llewyn Davis is on your Fast Five, starting with Mark, let me know.
Maybe a cardinal sin, but I've not seen Inside Llewyn Davis yet. So unfortunately, I couldn't put it on my Fast Five, and I do love music in general. Not as much 60s folk, but I still love movies about musicians, especially when they are period pieces. And I've heard so many good things. I think Oscar Isaac is one of the best actors of our generation. And I know John Goodman's in it, and even Justin Timberlake's in it, who I hear did a really good job in the film.
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver, who's
job
amazing
in that film as well.
Yeah, so it's one that is on the big list of movies I have to see, and it's just one I haven't seen yet, unfortunately.
All right, Jason, where does it lie on your list, if at all?
That, in fact, was my number 5.
Oh, okay.
It was Inside Llewyn Davis. Just the lighting, the cinematography, the writing, just the devotion and passion the Coen brothers show in this film towards music and they always have had that throughout all their films, but to focus their film on that specifically, and also to have such a character that's so flawed. Carey Mulligan, if I'm not mistaken, does a fantastic job in the film as well, and it's another film that reunites Star Wars people regarding Adam Driver and Oscar Isaac, and then also another film, Ex Machina, came out, which is Domhnall Gleeson and Oscar Isaac. But man, Oscar Isaac, this is a guy who can do it all, you know. And you talk about people and ethnicities and finding work and jobs. Man, this guy has no problem finding anything, and that's not only just his talent, because of his personality. And he just is an all-around talent, and a fantastic film, and a film also that you will be very surprised at, Mark, is the ending of the film and how it wraps around, and it's very surprising, but also makes you think. And then when it comes to the conclusion, it's like, wow, like Coen brothers tend to not necessarily have an ending, but that's maybe on purpose. But this one has a beginning and an ending all almost kind of wrapped up together, and it's a beautiful soundtrack. It's a beautiful, beautiful film.
Yeah, I have Inside Llewyn Davis at number 4, the same as Alicia and Scott. I like to prepare for when I do the Profiles After Show, just like Alicia and Scott prepare. They go back and watch the films of the directors, actors, actresses. So I was in the process of watching, and I pulled Inside Llewyn Davis right off the shelf, and I watched it yesterday, and I just remember going back when I watched it the first time, and I'm like, wow, is this a great movie? I mean, It reminds you. I like the comparison that Alicia made, how he's trying to he's trying to find his way in the music industry, and he's having a struggle. It kind of reminds me of myself a little bit, trying to find my way in the podcast and blogging world, and not really being successful, and trying to get work and trying to get people to notice my knowledge about movies and so forth. I know it's not the same thing, but definitely the music is just fantastic. Hey, Mr. Kennedy. I mean, Justin Timberlake.
Oh, yeah.
Song was fantastic. Justin Timberlake, Adam Driver, Oscar Isaac are in that song, and they're playing. I mean, then you get the cool cameos from guys like F. Murray Abraham.
Oh, yes.
And of course the obligatory, throw one of the Coen brothers regulars in there, John Goodman. They throw him in, and you're right about the lighting. Oh, the
smoky,
lighting.
yeah.
God, I love the kind of like the gritty kind of lighting, and then there's this whole thing with the cat. Alicia talked about the cat, how the cat has this some semblance to the whole story. Yeah, I really, really, really enjoy
to touch on your point regarding those songs is you can just tell that everyone involved is having a great time.
Oh yeah.
Like everyone is having a fantastic time, and even Garrett Hedlund of Tron infamy and Pan now coming out as Captain Hook. He's the silent driver, but the few words that he has and the looks he gives in the rearview mirror of him chain smoking cigarettes is like, yeah, like this works. Like, because they're great directors for actors. They're great director actors. It's good. Anyone who's involved in their films should be blessed.
Yeah, they are really good directors when it comes to the actors. You hit the nail on the head. Okay, now we're going to go into a little bit of trivia, the last detail, information. I'm going to read off some things that Alicia and Scott said about the Coen Brothers movies, some of the things. In Raising Arizona, they used 15 babies because the babies kept on doing wrong or crying or whatever. They said, okay, give me another baby.
So it wasn't, hold on one second, so it wasn't like American Sniper to where the babies wouldn't show up or they were too sick, and so they just used a plastic one, right?
That was god
awful.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
The word the dude was used 160 times in The Big Lebowski, and man, the word man was used 147 times in The Big Lebowski.
So it beat all the F words in The Departed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Barton Fink cost $9 million, and it made a whopping $6 million at the box.
Oh God, criminal.
Ah, man, people are, whatever.
The first time the Coen brothers as a duo were credited with being the Coen brothers, not Ethan as director, Joel as writer, or vice versa, was Lady Killers. That's the first time both of them were
Oh
credited,
gosh.
which, I don't want to be reminded of that dang on movie. Um,
Hey, Marlon Wayans is great, right? He was great
uh,
in Requiem for a Dream.
there's an actual Lebowski Fest in Kentucky, and Jeff Bridges and Steve Buscemi have showed up for it. And also, Dudism is a religion in like over 100 and something countries. Uh,
Like Jedi? Don't you need like
Yeah, kind
15,000
of like a
followers or
Jedi.
something?
yeah, you got to. I don't know how much it costs to join it, but I just know it's over in 100 something countries. What is the
Jeez.
drink? All right, Mark, you already watched Profile, so I'm going to ask Jason since I got it here.
Oh,
What,
White Russian, dude. I
oh,
love those
Yeah,
things.
of course, White
I love
Russians.
White Russians. Are you
what did he
serious?
call it, though? What did they call it? Besides being
Oh,
White Russian, what did he call it?
oh, I can't remember, man.
All three of us.
Oh, that just is like your opinion, man.
No, Caucasian.
Man.
We're all Caucasians.
Oh, that's right, a Caucasian. That's right. That's right.
Caucasian. And then what was the name of the member of the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the
Flea.
Flea?
Yeah, Flea, the bassist.
And okay, I think that's all I got for trivia. So
What about Bunny? What about Bunny? Who played Bunny in that
what's
movie?
her name?
Who played
Tara
Bunny?
Reid.
Yeah, there
Tara
you go.
Reid of
There you
American
go.
Pie and Alone in the Dark, that horrible movie. Yeah,
And apparently Sharknadoes, but I haven't seen those.
yeah, that's right. I've not seen that either, but
All right, so Jason,
Social
you got any
media.
trivia or anything, any kind of anecdotes that you want to bring up for?
I don't. The only thing that I think of is that I told you earlier regarding messaging is that the Coen brothers had written the original script for Angelina Jolie's Unbroken,
right.
and I think that script was probably 10 times better than the film. So I feel that the script was so good that she was not able to have any grip on it, and so they hired the best cinematographer, which was what's his name, who did Skyfall and everything. I forget what his name was. But it was just they hired a lot of people around her. But it was just interesting that the Coen brothers made that script and that the movie was so mediocre as to where it's like if you would have kept this Coen brothers script level, it's where you would not have needed to spend so much money on the visuals as the script and the material were there. And I think that would have been a better movie had they would have directed themselves.
Interesting.
But it was very heavy material. It was very heavy material that they want to tackle, but they wrote it, and I would have loved to see that instead of what we got.
Yeah. All right, Mark, you got anything, any trivia or any kind of anecdotes you want to share from Brothers movies?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a movie that we'll talk about later, which is also one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies, is Fargo. And I have a few friends from Minnesota who said they loved the movie, but the only problem is the accent is not obviously like truly Minnesotan. It's extremely exaggerated, but at the same time, I think it fits for the movie because the emphasis they put on some of the inflections and things like that adds to the comedy, and I think that was obviously the purpose of it. It is supposed to have a dark comedy feel, and that accent does have similar inflections, very Nordic inflections, mainly because there's so many people of Norwegian and Swedish heritage that are in Minnesota and Wisconsin, that area, as well as Illinois and so forth, the prairies. And but yeah, I think that's a character, which is what the Coen brothers kind of wanted. They wanted the actual accent to be a character in the movie. So, and I think they did a tremendous job with the humor, with the fact that it's a character, even though it might not be necessarily like 100% perfect.
Well,
Yeah.
the film also isn't it's like a fantasy, right? Like the movie is kind of like a fantasy like type movie, not like Lord of the Rings, but it's like kind of like out there. Like it's not meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a dark comedy, but it's not meant to like we're like. I mean, someone finds a briefcase in the middle of nowhere, and it's like kind of like
Glory, ain't it?
what?
I thought it was based on a true story, so it can't be a
Oh, was
fan.
it really? Oh, okay. I just kind of find the way that they do their movies, like A Serious Man and Fargo, they always, and like
Loosely
No Country for
based.
Old Men, they loosely have like a fantastical element to it, to where like this thing happens and then all these events happen, and so you shouldn't take it seriously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so now we go to
Yeah, but it's loosely
Fast.
based on.
Yeah.
All right, I cut you off there, Mark. What'd you say?
Oh, no worries. I was just going to say it's loosely based on a real case, but of course, um, they've added a lot of their own style
Yeah.
and points and things like that to the plot line.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to go on to Fast Five number three. Alicia and Scott had the Big Lebowski at number three. So, Jason, where does the Big Lebowski fall in your Fast Five?
They hit it right on the head, Skip. It is my number three is The Big Lebowski. It is one of those films that, just like you, Mark, man, I did not get the first time I saw it when I was younger. I was like, and I'm surprised that you just got it, last year. But when I was younger, I saw it and I was like, I have no idea what this is. I've bowled before when I was a kid. We had bumpers. Like, I'm not sure. And then once I got older and I started, curse words and meaning of like insults, but yet good humor and friendship and, awkwardness and also like miscommunication. All those themes all came together for me, and especially a guy like Philip Seymour Hoffman. It was just like a
Yeah.
combination of just such a good mixture. I mean, you just like take that into a science room, put a potion, throw it in, it's Big Lebowski, and it's one of those films to where now, even though I didn't get it when I was younger, people I talk to who haven't even seen it, I'm like, it's on Netflix. You have to see it now. And man, it's just fantastic. It's a great dark comedy. John Goodman again, one of the Coen brothers, main go-to guys. Jeff Bridges, the dude, iconic. He's still playing that character today. Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late and great, probably one of my top 5 actors of all time. Uh, but yeah, that film has a big, great soundtrack, great cinematography, great, great storytelling, and just a friendship that'll last for all time. And also Sam Elliott, it's just a memorable film, and it's got a story that everyone can follow and actually relate to, whatever age you're at, when you're able to comprehend what it's trying to say to you.
Mark?
Yeah, I had Big Lebowski at numero uno, so it's my favorite
Wow.
Coen
So
Brothers
you went
movie.
from one
Yeah,
star to number one.
I went from 1 star, hating it as a teenager, despising the film,
Wow.
and when somebody like even let's say 5 or 10 years ago would bring up the movie, I would go into a rant on how much I hated it, how much it didn't make sense, how much it sucked. By the way, I also did that with a little movie called Pulp Fiction for many years until I watched it
Oh.
again and enjoy it. So there's a lot of stuff as a teenager I just didn't understand. A lot of films, and this was at the top. So for me, I love the entire movie. I love Southern California. I love LA. I used to live out in LA 2.5 years. It's so there's so much LA culture and LA ness inside Big Lebowski. There's just so many things that they do and places they go, and the dude is just a surfer bum, beach bum from Southern California, and I met a lot of those guys, out in LA, and there's so many dudes out there. At the same time, there's only really one dude, but you know what I mean. Like, there's that kind of culture that is out there, that reminiscence of the '60s and all that kind of stuff. It's just a really perfect combination of humor, and there's like this sort of chase element, and then there's this mistaken identity, and then as Alicia and Scott said, it's a film noir. I love film noirs. I love
Yes.
neo noirs. And I love when they're done in modern day. Like, for example, Looper is one of my favorite movies of all time. That's a film noir. And so I just loved the fact that they took a film noir, they made it into a comedy, they did all these different kind of classic movie like mistaken identity type stuff. It's a blend of just amazing stuff. And again, I think when you're younger, and I'm not saying this is the same for everybody, but when you're younger, it's hard to relate to a lot of the subject matter, and it's hard to relate on why Jeff Bridges would be doing those things, and why are the nihilists after them, and what is a nihilist, you know? But it's like, kind of makes sense when you're older. I don't know if it's a mix of experience, maybe cynicism, who knows. But yeah, it went from one of my most loathed movie of all time to, I would say, probably my top 25 to top 30 movies of all time. You know, so for me, 100% number one. I love the film. I've seen it probably 10 or 15 times since last year, and I'm probably going to watch it again tonight on Netflix. So.
Well, I mean, a lot of people
go.
also, when they're younger, they don't understand how a room ties the, a rug can tie the room together as well as it can. You know.
I was wondering if one of us was gonna get that.
You know, like you just don't know as a kid.
Five times in the movie.
Phenomenal. And obviously, if you have a bowling ball, you're not a golfer, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's so.
It's brilliant.
They say that the rug. They say the rug line 5 times, and whenever they say it, it is so funny. Yeah, that rug really tied the room together. Like, it's just so random, and oh man.
I wonder if there's like a side bet going on with the Coen Brothers. How many times can we get this into the movie if someone's like, Jeff, please say this line again, and see if they can get it in there and who won the bet or whatever.
But they're so serious too when they say it. Like, oh my god, I love it.
Oh, because that's the one thing about the dude is that he's true to his convictions. Like, that's like what he believes in, And everyone was like, "What the f are you talking about?" He's like, "This is my world, man, and you just disrupted it. So, we're gonna have to figure this out." And by the way, I'm broke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if I have anything to say, but I had the Big Lebowski at number 3 on my Fast Five, same as Alicia and Scott. I was in a way, I was kind of with Mark on that, where I wasn't a big fan of the Big Lebowski years ago, and as I got older, I took chances and I saw movies that I didn't like or I didn't understand, and then I was like, wait a minute here, this is a damn good movie, and it's got so many things. It's got a caper, it's got car chases, it's got mystery, it's got, just goofy, all this goofy humor. It's got, I'm not even a bowler, so the bowling aspect
me neither.
I'm not a bowler.
It's got the Jesus, man.
Yeah, Jesus is great. John Turturro.
Dude, another Coen Brothers guy, and Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
It's like they share those dudes.
Yeah. So there's so much going on with the missing person in the suitcase, the MacGuffin. Roger Ebert, he would always talk about the MacGuffin. In this movie, the MacGuffin was a suitcase. The suitcase of money that didn't exist. There was no money in the suitcase, but it was a plot device to get you from one scene to another scene, and that's what a MacGuffin is. If people out there haven't watched any of Roger Ebert's reviews, which I bet the 3 of us have watched quite a few of over the years. But all right, so this is the perfect segue. We're going to go into the player, and I have a feeling that one or both of you guys is going to want to talk about Mr. the Dude, played by Jeff Bridges. So we're going to start with Mark. Mark, what is your player or players that you would like to discuss?
Well, the dude is on there, but I really want to talk about one of the most scummiest, lying, pathetic weasels in Coen Brothers, which, of course, was William H. Macy in Fargo, who played Jerry Lungergard. He, to me, and I only saw Fargo for the first time just a few weeks back, maybe a month ago, maybe a little more than a month ago, and he stood out as, again, one of these guys that I just love when he's talking to the couple in his office, and they didn't want the factory coating, and he's like, well, no, it's there, the factory coating, you need it, like, it's, I don't know, I'm Canadian, so I could do that kind of accent, but, and they're like, you Mr. Lungergard, you're not polite, you shouldn't have said that. It was like, you should, anyway, it's just so funny. It's like, well, that's going to be an extra $2,000. Like, that scene alone of him just trying to get another $2,000 out of this, like, this couple who seemed really nice, and then, of course, during the end of the film, and he kind of gets what's coming to him, but but I loved it. I love that weaseling, pathetic character. He's just trying to get insurance money from his wife, and then that wife dies. Like, yeah, for me, he's my favorite character. The dude obviously is up there as well. I'd say they're probably tied for number one.
All right, Jason. Obviously the dude. So other than the dude, unless you want to say more about the dude, who are some of your favorite Coen Brothers characters?
Well, I would have to say that the dude obviously is one of the best. I would also have to say Llewyn Davis, I believe, is one of my favorite as well. Just because he's just a guy who, he is extremely, extremely wrapped up in, he really has a goal of what he wants to do, especially as an artist, but he's extremely wrapped up in getting a girl pregnant, and he's got a cat, and it's just like all these things, and it's cold in New York, and I know what it's like to be cold in Chicago. I've been in New York too when it's cold before as well, and also lived in California, and it was warm, so that was pleasant, but everything else regarding that, Llewyn Davis, I believe, is one of my favorite, even though it's not my favorite Coen Brothers film. It's just because the character is so tortured, so damaged. He knows exactly what he wants to do. He's so talented, but there are so many obstacles in his way that's not allowing him to get where he needs to be. And there are also people taking advantage of him. There are also people he has to co-work with that he's not, comfortable with. And it's just a film and a character that I think is one of the best characters in Hollywood, which is a tragic character, one that knows where they can go, have a way to do it, but yet there are also obstacles in its way of him getting there and achieving his goal. And like I said, Mark, when you see the end of the film, you'll see, what happens. And it's just great. Other than that, Barton Fink, of course, screenwriter, Lost, someone who's in over his head, makes a deal with the devil pretty much almost. And then, I guess that's about it. But yeah, Llewyn Davis, even though I think the character is stronger in the film, I think that he deserves a lot of credit, especially just because Oscar Isaac just nails it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on both of you guys' picks. But I want to run down the list, obviously. Alicia Scott had the dude, Jeff Bridges, Marge Gunderson, Frances McDormand. She won an Oscar for Best Actress. Anton Chigurh, Javier Bardem, won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Everett, played by George Clooney in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And Chad Feldheimer from Burn After Reading, played by
Brad Pitt.
Pitt. And I'm gonna choose Anton Chigurh by Javier Bardem. I mean, I love the villains in movies. I love how villains can be created on the paper, and then these actors can take villains and run with them. And I know it's going to be a sore spot for Jason, but Heath Ledger as the Joker is one of my all-time favorites. And I think right up there, you want to talk about one of the great villains in movie history. And I think it's kind of forgotten that Javier Bardem won the Oscar for playing Anton Chigurh. And it's like, hey, choose it, friendo. And then he's got this thing. He fires the gun into the holes of the doors, and he's able to escape the doors and you got to get out of the way, because when that thing comes firing at you, you can get a concussion with that thing. The door locks and stuff. And he had the silencer on the end of the shotgun and stuff. He had the goofy haircut. I mean, just all these crazy things that the Coens put into that character of. Obviously, it's a Cormac McCarthy book. No Country for Old Men is based on a book by Cormac McCarthy. If you want to talk about a great author, obviously,
The Road.
Not so good. He did not do so good with The Counselor.
Are you serious? You didn't like The Counselor?
I didn't.
I love that movie. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't like that one either. Yeah.
Let's not get off on The Counselor. But Cormac McCarthy knows how to write great characters, and he's like like a Western villain who rode in on a black horse or something like that. Anton Chigurh. He's just great of a character, but you know he's such an evil character. Javier Bardem, I am so happy that he got recognized for that character, because the guy's a great actor. He had 2 or 3 other really good roles before that, and now, of course, everybody knows who Javier Bardem is. You know.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
Is regarding the villain of Anton Chigurh and also the villain of the Joker, played by Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. Is I believe that both those roles were accentuated 100% by the performance of the actor. I think that both of them were given material that they just elevated 100%. I think that anyone who else had done it before or other than them would have not been as good. So I don't know if that's for the writing. I think it's because of who was cast. And so I don't know if Anton Chigurh's character is necessarily filled out and fleshed out, but it was because of the actor that portrayed him. Same with Heath Ledger, the Joker. I think that the reason why that performance or that character works is because of who they had hired and the direction. I don't know if the writing necessarily was what defined him. I think it was the casting is what defined him. Because if you would cast somebody else as Anton Chigurh, it would just fallen fucking flat. Oh, sorry, would have fallen flat.
Yeah, no, you make a very, very good valid point.
So with the material that they were given, they elevated that material for both performances in both films, and that's what makes them memorable. I don't know if that the character written on the page was as sophisticated as the actors that they got their money's worth for.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, we're going to go into Fast 5, number 2. And Alicia and Scott had Fargo as their Fast 5, number 2. So, Jason, where does Fargo lie on your Fast?
I am seriously on point. It is my number 2. Fargo is my 2. I had Inside Llewellyn Desk 5, Barton Fink 4, Big Lebowski, Fargo number 2. Fargo is my number 2 favorite Coen Brothers film of all time. It is the wow, set of fireworks. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Sorry. Fargo is my number 2 film by the Coen Brothers, 100%. I apologize. And can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear fireworks too.
Okay, sorry about that. So Fargo is my number 2 film of all time regarding the Coen Brothers because it is the first Coen Brothers film that I didn't get. I didn't understand it. Like I said, the imagery that I had of the guy's foot coming out of the wood chipper was one of the craziest, iconic images ever. I wanted a poster of it. And I didn't understand it. Like, I didn't understand the still scenes. I didn't understand Peter Stormare, Steve Buscemi, Francis McDormand, William H. Macy, anything that was happening going on with that story. And so, it was with the Big Lebowski was a film to where I didn't get the comedy. With Fargo, I didn't understand the drama. And so I didn't understand the relationships around the people, the story, the briefcase. What did the briefcase mean? Like, what was that? It's like, oh, like, and I also saw Pulp Fiction at the same time. It's another briefcase. And I'm like, what are these movies' briefcases going on right now? Should I get a briefcase? And then Dumb and Dumber came on. I'm like, Sissy, Swanson, Swampson. Oh, Samsonite. You know, it's like, what is going on? But it was the first film that, like, when I rewatched it, when I became, like, in my, like, late teens in high school, when I really, really, really got into film. Because I liked every movie. Like, I own movies nowadays that, like, I'm like, oh my god, why do I own that? Like, are you kidding me? But I liked everything growing up. And then it became when I became cynical. Like, I think I'd have fun meeting Paul Rudd. It's because we would have, like, the same, like, cynical, like, laugh and joke about stuff in life. But Fargo was a film to where I really got down to the story, the characters, growing up, relationships with family, friends, nieces, nephews, kids. Like, I don't have any of my own, but also grew in the Midwest. And, man, that film, regarding this crime story, just every single time. And the Midwestern accents, like you said, man, they're over the top. That's the point. It's a dark comedy. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun and it's smart. I was about to say fun and dumb, but dumb it's not. It's one of the smartest films that's ever been written I've ever seen. So Fargo is my number 2, hands down. Francis McDormand, who is married to is either Joel or Ethan. I don't know, but they've been married forever. I think even since like Blood Simple. Yeah, it's easily one of the most amazing screenplays that's ever been written.
All right, Mark.
Yeah, mine is the same. My number 2 is Fargo. I love it. I mean, again, it's a recent watch, recent movie that I've seen for myself, and it just struck me. It's one of those movies because it came out, in the early '90s when I was probably, I don't know, 11 or 12, and it was one of those films that you just hear about all the time, and people since then have keep talking about it. I mean, Fargo is one of the best movies probably ever made in a real sense, and I just thought to myself, okay, it's on Netflix, I'll check it out. And I was just really struck with all those little things like the accent, like William H. Macy's, Jerry just being such a weasel. And I have met Peter Stormare, and he's great. He's really funny. And he was awesome in that film. And yeah, there's just really not much else I can say other than if you've not seen it, you have to see Fargo. And I've heard that the TV series is actually quite good. I don't know how involved the Coen brothers are in that, but I definitely know that they've sort of made that now into a franchise, and they've sort of expanded some of the story, although I know it is also different. But I hear that's really excellent too, so there's more to tell about that story. And yeah, excellent, excellent movie.
The hold on a second, sorry. The show is a sequel to the film, or to the film, and Martin Freeman's fantastic in it. And they got a really big cast. Colin Hanks, who I've never really cared for, is really great in it also. And also one woman from Chicago plays almost the Frances McDormand character. And I think it's someone who finds the briefcase from the first film and then goes into it. And then the second season is almost like American Horror Story or How They Do True Detective, is where it's a whole new cast, but it's going to take place before the events of the first one.
Wow.
But it has the same tone, and the Coen brothers, I don't necessarily know if they produced it, but they read the script and they gave the blessing to allow it to happen. So it feels like Fargo. It's just 10 episodes of it. But it's not as good as the film, because the film is, a masterpiece.
Yeah, I watched Fargo. I absolutely loved the TV show. I thought Martin Freeman and Billy Bob Thornton were fantastic in that TV show. And the girl from Chicago, I can't think of her name, but yeah, she's from Chicago.
Yeah.
She's been struggling trying to get into acting, trying to break in and get something, and she got that role. That's the breakout role of her career. Yeah, Fargo is number 1 on my Fast Five, guys. I absolutely love this movie. I cannot say Frances McDormand, William H. Macy, just the whole winter murder mystery type thing going on. It just there is nothing like Fargo. There's literally nothing like Fargo, and I put it on my 100 greatest movies of all time, my personal 100 greatest movies of all time list. I don't know where exactly I have it, but I just think it's one of the greatest movies of all. I mean, it loses the Oscar that year, 1996, to The English Patient. I know,
right?
I mean, how does it lose to The English Patient? I mean, English Patient's a really good movie. Don't get me wrong, with great performances.
I think that year there were other than those two, there were 3 other great contenders. I wish I knew right off the top of my head, but I think that almost everyone just kind of split the vote.
Yeah.
And that's why I went to English Patient.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The vote split that year for 2 or 3 other movies, 4 other movies. That's how Fargo got bumped out of there. But I mean, just the performances. I mean, William H. Macy, obviously, that's the first time we really see him. And, of course, he's become a big name in Hollywood over the years. And Jerry Lundegaard, what a creepy, nasty, kind of goofy character. I mean, he's a slime bag, but you love him. The thing about it is, he's a slime bag, and you still love Jerry Lundegaard. And of course,
and you think of the scene. I mean, just the idea of the film in general is like how these guys come up with this scenario of this with police officers in Minnesota and Fargo and their accents and pregnant detective and a briefcase. It's like they must have just been just randomly talking me and my friends. It was hey, what if we did this? I don't know. Let's just.
Yeah. Well, somebody saw maybe a news clipping or something about the story, and they looked it up, and then they put together the screenplay, and that's how it all happened, because it's based on a true story. So that
Mhm.
says that right off the bat. This movie is based on true events right off the bat at the beginning of Fargo. So, Fargo is my favorite movie by the Coen brothers. I'll tell you what, though, 1 and 2 are like neck and neck. So it could have been either or with me, and obviously it's the same way with you guys. I want to ask you guys though, what are your favorite other Coen brothers movies that did not make your Fast Five, or Alicia and Scott had on their Fast Five, or didn't have on their Fast Five? So, Mark, give
Mhm.
me some others, or honorable mentions is what we call them.
I would say like I put True Grit as number 5 on my Fast Five, mainly because it's kind of interesting. When I lived in California, I knew someone who actually cast Haley Steinfeld in a short film, probably around a year or two before she was in True Grit. And so I got an opportunity to sit down and watch True Grit with him. His name's Cameron, and see that movie. And he was like really excited because how the Coen brothers cast her. One of the things that they saw from her was his short film, and he went to a place called Chapman University, which is in Southern California, and he made his final film with her in it. And for me, I enjoyed the movie. I kind of think Jeff Bridges is a little hard to understand in it, but just it's more of that like meaning behind it, more of the interest of just like my friend makes this short film, and like 2 years later, Haley Steinfeld, is in this huge movie. So I put that. I also really liked Matt Damon. I thought he was really great in True Grit. Other than that, though, I've not seen I've seen a lot of Coen Brothers movies, but nothing as memorable as what I've put in my top 5. So unfortunately, like I've not seen Llewyn Davis, I've not seen Miller's Crossing. I'd like to say that there would be more. Obviously, honorable mentions. It's just unfortunate I haven't seen some of the other ones. Like Burn After Reading, I remember seeing, but I don't really remember the movie much, unfortunately. So yeah.
All right, Jason. Anything that's in your Fast Five that Alicia and Scott don't have in there, or honorable mention that you would?
I'm sorry, I got cut off.
Yeah.
So your number one was what was your number one? True Grit, you said, Mark?
He was Fargo. That's his honorable mentions. He's talking about his.
Yeah, honorable mention.
Okay, I got cut off. I had to run inside and then reboot my phone, so I apologize for that.
No problem.
So his number one was what?
He hasn't done his number one yet. We're on.
Oh.
Yeah, we haven't gone. Yeah.
Okay, so honorable mentions. I'll count down. I did Inside Llewyn Davis, Barton Fink, Big Lebowski, Fargo. I mean, The Man Who Wasn't There. I guess I haven't seen him forever. Oh Brother, We're Out Thou with George Clooney and stuff. It's got a very interesting and heavy ending. I will not mention No Country for Old Men. I do not think that movie deserves anything that it's going for, except for Anton Chigurh, which was a character that, like I said before, like Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, is like it was a character that was done better with his performance. I didn't not like A Serious Man. I don't know. So the movies that I pretty much have in my top 5 are the ones that pretty much are the best ones. So I apologize for being like kind of a. I've seen them all, but I apologize for these are the ones I like, and I think they're the best ones. So I hate being a part of the agreeing process, but I can't say anything more.
That's why we're all here. We're here to talk about someone we like, and sometimes we don't always like everything that they do. I, on the other hand, have number 5 on my list. It's not on. Alicia Scott says, "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" and I really, really enjoyed that film. The music, the comedy, the period piece set in the Dust Bowl, and the kind of that era, and George Clooney, John Turturro, another regular of the Coen brothers. He's been in The Big Lebowski. He's been in a couple other of their movies. I'm a big fan of John Turturro's work. He plays in The Big Lebowski. Tim Blake Nelson, a guy that doesn't get a lot of credit as a really good actor. I'm hoping that maybe one of these days we'll get to see him play the leader in an Incredible Hulk movie, or maybe we'll get to see him play Mole Man in the Fantastic Four by the end.
Oh gosh.
So those are the two characters. He basically And if you look at the credits of the Fantastic Four, he is the guy that is going to turn into the Mole Man. And in the Incredible Hulk, he is the guy that turns into leader. And then the
Exactly.
movie ends.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to see him play two different Marvel characters for two different studios. But yeah, the music, just the Odyssey, Homer's The Odyssey, a take from that. I really enjoyed Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And obviously I said it, where my first blood was Raising Arizona. Absolutely hilarious comedy about a man and a family and just trying to make his way in the world and raising kids, and just craziness ensues. So that's Raising Arizona. But now we are at that time where we're going to say Alicia and Scott's #1 film in their Fast Five is No Country for Old Men. Jason, you don't seem to have that on your Fast Five. We're going to go right to Mark. Mark, where does No Country for Old Men lie in your Fast Five?
#3 for me. I do enjoy No Country for Old Men. I like it quite a bit. I love ambiguous endings in films. I love endings that are open to interpretation. As I mentioned earlier, I love the risks that they took when you don't see, what happens to Josh Brolin's character. I enjoy it. Is it the greatest movie? I would actually kind of agree. I don't think it's like the greatest, but I thought it was really different and kind of a risk as far as the story was concerned, as far as not showing, which I know pissed off a lot of people, as well as that ambiguous ending. I know a lot of people would have liked it to have been different. But I also really, really loved Tommy Lee Jones's performance in the movie, and I really enjoyed Woody Harrelson. I think Woody Harrelson is just almost pretty much good in everything he's in, and in this one he was kind of a different role for him. Very serious. I never like to see Woody Harrelson die in a movie. He died in this movie, which was actually kind of interesting. A little bit actually kind of sucky too when you think about it. He's just kind of in a hotel room and kind of gets like he's sort of in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that kind of happens. But there are things in the movie again that do frustrate me. Actually, there's a lot of things, and maybe to some people it doesn't feel as complete as it could have been. But for all those things, for whatever reason, I don't mind them, and I enjoy what the Coen brothers did. So for me, #3. There's two more I absolutely love, and there's two more I just kind of love a little less. But I really still do enjoy No Country for Old Men. I think it's a great film.
I think I like it a little bit more than you do, Mark. I have it at #2 on my Fast Five. I'm going to tell you this right now, and I know Jason knows this. I love westerns, and I
It's my
think
favorite genre.
this movie is
Genre.
the most modern version of a western I have ever seen in my entire life. Anton Chigurh, Llewellyn Moss, Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, you got all these classic archetypes from westerns throughout the years, and you throw them into this. I mean, Cormac McCarthy. I'm right with you, Mark. The ending is ambiguous. It's a little like, okay, why are you going to end a movie like this? There's probably three quarters of a great movie here. And it did win the Oscar in 1990 for 5, 6, something like that. No, 2006.
What?
2006.
Yeah, it was 2000.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say one Best Picture.
Yeah, Best Picture.
Yeah.
It did win the Best Picture, so a lot of people obviously love this movie as much as I do and you do, Mark. The minority being Jason over there. I just love it. I mean, the whole running away, trying to hide the money and just keep on the run. So he knew this kind of a Darth Vader type villain, Anton Chigurh. He's going to find him. He's going to sniff him out. And how he meets his end is kind of once again ambiguous. So it's that's the part that's hard to swallow is the ending of the movie. The last 15, 20 minutes of the movie is kind of like, man, I wanted to see a classic kind of ending, a ending that makes sense, an ending that anybody and everybody can understand. And obviously they don't have that, but you do have great performances in a really great modern western. And I think it's odd that the Coen brothers won the Best Picture Oscar for that and not Fargo. You know, it's kind of, but I think it's one of those. Same thing with who was it?
Scorsese won for Departed.
Yeah,
I mean,
not Goodfellas, exactly.
Yeah, or Taxi Driver, anything he's ever done, yeah.
you know, Paul
anything he's ever done.
Paul wins for The Color of Money and not something else like Cool Hand Luke or something else. You know, he should have won for. You know, but that is my number one. My number two, Fast Five. That is Alicia Scott's Barton Fink 5, Inside Llewyn Davis 4, Big Lebowski 3, Fargo 2, No Country for Old Men 1. Guys, I have had an absolute.
I didn't get to say my first.
All right,
you got to get number one.
In your honorable mentions, if it was your number one, because it's not on Alicia Scott's. What was your number one?
Oh, hold on. Can I comment on No Country for Old Men for a second?
All right.
Okay. I'm sorry. I have no problem whatsoever regarding the ending or the epilogue, and not seeing Josh Brolin's death or anything like that. It's just the whole story at all regarding them showing up on all those guys being shotgunned to death, and then him waking in the middle of the night trying to bring a guy water and stuff, and then the guy tells him where the suitcase is. I just felt the whole plot was contrived, so that's it from the start. But it doesn't matter. Everyone was a great performance. Everyone was a great performance. I have no problem with the epilogue. It's just the story in general I thought was just absolutely, like, give me an effing break. Okay, so here we go. My number one is Miller's Crossing. It is, you know, you got Goodfellas, you got Casino, you got Godfather, you got everything, gangster. But no one's ever done gangster like Coen Brothers. No one's ever done a gangster film like Coen Brothers because there's no humor to be seen in Godfather. There is humor to be seen in Goodfellas. You can see him. That's Scorsese's humor. You take Coen Brothers' dark comedy humor and you put it with Tommy guns and fedoras, and you got Gabriel Byrne, Marcia Gay Harden, Albert Finney, you know, Tom Turturro, and you just make this story. Man, it just absolutely fits completely well, and just the posters, the top hat in the forest, like, it is absolutely 100% riveting, and just anything, unlike anything they've ever done before, is I rank not as the best film I've ever seen regarding gangsters, but my favorite gangster film of all time is Miller's Crossing. And not just Coen Brothers, but of all time, of anything, that's my favorite. That's my favorite Tommy gun fedora film of all time, Miller's Crossing.
Wow. All right. Well, that was a surprise. I did not expect that, Jason. They Scott and Alicia talk about Miller's Crossing slightly a little bit when they talk about their others. Scott talked about liking Miller's Crossing, and Mark and I have some friends in a separate chat group that few of them have seen Miller's Crossing as well, and they like it. So, well, thank you for sharing your number one your Fast Five for the Coen Brothers. Okay, with that being said, that is it for this. Jason, where can you be found if you feel like sharing where you can be found?
I am at Jason Kroll on Facebook, and then I'm also at Responsible Dreamer on Twitter and Instagram.
All right, Mark, where can you be found?
By searching my name, Mark Tordai, MarkTordai. I could be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and other forms of social media just by searching my name.
And I am the same as Mark, except we have different names now. Dan Skip Allen on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. Also, you can go back and watch past episodes of the Profiles after show. And I also do another show called The Best Damn Movie Show with my co-host Vinny LaSpada, and we're going to do our top 10 movies of the year halfway through the year. That'll be out next week. We already filmed that show, and we filmed a bunch of reviews of Ted 2 and Trainwreck and some stuff like that. And stay tuned for my review of Terminator Genesis next week.
Damn good show.
that is
Nice.
a wrap for us this evening, folks. Thank you to my cohorts in crime who decided to go on this journey with us tonight. And we will see you next time. Who knows when, but we will see you next time on the Profiles After Show. Good night.
See ya.